Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a brand new GMC Sierra AT4x. And today, I'm going to review it for you guys. Now, in terms of luxury features, this might not be able to compare to something like a Sierra Denali, but when it comes to off-roading prowess, the AT4x definitely gives its competitors, like the Ram Rebel, for example, a run, or I guess I should say a drive, for their money. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Jones GMC for allowing me to borrow this vehicle to review. For all your GMC needs in the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area, I'll leave a link to Jones's website in the description below. Now, there is a regular AT4 trim for the Sierra, but this AT4x gives you a few distinct upgrades, like Multimatic DSSV spool valve dampers, a terrain mode that allows for one-pedal rock crawling, and it also has electronically controlled front and rear locking differentials. Starting here on the front end, you'll have full LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, which double as your turn signal indicators here. Now, on screen, they're probably flickering because of the camera refresh rate. In reality, they're not actually doing that. That's just a difference with the camera's refresh rate compared to how these LED lights flash. Then down here, you'll have LED fog lights. You'll have parking sensors that dot the front. Then you'll have these nice red tow hooks. You'll have a camera here for the 360-degree camera system. Moving underneath the hood in the AT4x, this is powered by a 6.2-liter V8, making 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque, and that is paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. This engine is pretty standard across the board for most of General Motors' larger trucks in the higher trims. Now, if you look in your dictionary, doesn't matter which dictionary it is, any dictionary will do, and you search big old truck, this is what's pictured. Do dictionaries have pictures? I don't know, never mind, forget that analogy. Starting here on the profile with the wheels and tires, you're gonna get Goodyear Wrangler Duratracs. They are 275 65s around these 18-inch wheels. I love the blacked out look with the red GMC logo in the middle. I did a very similar thing on my Tacoma with a red Toyota badge. I didn't do a red GMC badge, but red Toyota badge. And I just think it looks really sharp. Then you'll have matte black fender flares right here, your 6.2-liter V8 badge. I think that works if you have the big 6.2-liter, but if you have anything less than that, like a V6, don't put a badge on the side. Down here, you'll have your AT4x badge, and then up here, you'll have your mirror cap. There's a light right here, a camera for the 360-degree camera system here, another puddle light. Then if we come around here, blind spot monitoring, and they are power mirrors as well. Down here, you have keyless entry, and you will have a stationary running board. And as we move to the rear, surprised there's no big AT4x across the back here, but it is a little bit more tasteful to have that simple design. As we move back here, there is a step that gives you easier access up into the bed. I love that feature. I think it's very useful. And then you'll have your tow hitch right here. And then another AT4x badge, Sierra right here, and your GMC logo. Now you will have a puddle light right here and a backup camera. And then this is also GMC's widely heralded multifunction tailgate, which is really cool, very useful. So if I tap this top button, that will lower this area to give me a workbench. Also, I can lift this up to extend the bed out. What's very interesting, we'll talk about this in a minute. This is actually the first GMC Sierra with the multifunction tailgate with this additional feature added that I've reviewed. So every other GMC I've reviewed has not had this, but this one does. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So a little mystery surprise. All right, so if I put that back in there, what I can also do, folding this back up, is I can drop it like a regular tailgate. You know, regular tailgate, and then again, if I want, I can lift that up and extend the bed. But if I hit both of them together, that unlocks, and then this folds down as a step to get up into the truck, and there's a grab handle right there. Now, the aforementioned thing that I've never reviewed before because it hasn't been equipped on the GMC Sierra. This is a kicker sound system built into the tailgate. That's incredible, like so cool. Talk about useful. Again, talk about king of the availability and usefulness of a tailgate right now. GMC's got it. So you'll have this kicker sound system built in, and then you have a USB and an aux right here. You can use the functionality of your bed and combine that with your favorite music, which I love. And then right here you'll have a household outlet, LED bed lights, and this has a spray-in bed liner with AT4x up there at the front. Overall, very useful. The only difficult part is sometimes putting this all back together with one hand is tough. But there you go. Stepping into the interior of the very luxurious AT4x, though again this might not compete with the Denali, the interior is far more premium than the traditional AT4. I'd like to highlight the key fob really quick. You'll have GMC here on the back, lock, unlock, you'll have remote start, you'll also have the ability to drop the tailgate from here, so you can just tap that twice and then you will have your panic button. Pretty weighty key. I know some people don't like weighty keys, but I'm actually a big fan of them. Now, we got to talk about my personal favorite part of any of these bigger GMC trucks that, or General Motors in general. Chevy also does this. So if I hit unlock and I open the door, it wants to greet me with this cool screen that races across there, the red lines, and then, whoa, it goes into the main infotainment system, says AT4x, and then GMC right there. Oh, it's just such a treat. Anytime I get to review one of these trucks, I just talk about that for too long, and it's just so neat, though. That's one of the benefits of having a fully digital gauge cluster like this Sierra does. Turning it on here, you'll see everything pops up here and we have all of the gauges. But before we talk about that, let's talk really quick about the door panel. I'm going to turn down the AC here so it's not super loud. You'll have soft touch material up here, and then I really like the texture of this faux wood, and then you have kind of like a rubbery material right here. That is a really neat contrasting design. Then down here you have soft touch with red accent stitching. You'll have your AT4x badge. Your mirror controls, they are power folding mirrors. I neglected to mention that on the exterior because obviously they're also power operated. You can move them. And then you'll have your memory settings for the seat right here. And they are power seats, of course, with lumbar support, front, back, and up and down. You'll have a Bose sound system in here, pretty high quality speakers. Then here you'll have your electronic parking brake, your four-wheel drive settings, and your trailering mode, as well as your lighting controls. And then up here, these buttons control the display. So as you can see right here, there's a little display. I'm going to zoom in on it here. This is a heads-up display that you get on the truck, which I think is so neat. And you can move between what you want to see. So there's actually a lot of customization, and it's a pretty big screen. So like if I'm being honest, it's pretty big here, but it doesn't obstruct too much from my view, and it does not actually flicker. Again, that's the camera refresh rate. It is a floating sign that's just the LEDs right there, but it's really cool. It gives you your digital speedometer, what the actual speed limit is, and this particular one has what drive mode you're in and what your angle of approach is. Really good for off-roading. And then if we move down here into the gauge cluster screen, a lot of great customization here. I'm just a huge fan of what they've done with this. As I've said in the past, GMC and Chevy have really stepped up their game with the interiors, and that clearly stands out because if you want to have your trans temp fluid on your left side and you really care about your trans temp fluid like super a lot, you can actually have that on both screens, and you can rock that for as long as you want. You'll have paddle shifters out here, and then you'll have your steering wheel controls. This controls your center screen right there, so you can go through the different modes on there. And then your Bluetooth. This is heated steering wheel. I don't know, why aren't you focusing? Focus. Heated steering wheel, and then your front collision. Yeah, this is your gap adjustment for the radar guided cruise control, and then your other radar guided cruise control controls. If we move over here to the screen, which is pretty dusty, we'll stay in demo mode here. It is a very, very quick and responsive screen. You'll have Google Maps right there, the ability to do Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There's also Google Podcasts in here and Wi-Fi hotspot. That's really neat. I don't know if this is actually going to load. Yeah, of course it's not because it doesn't have Wi-Fi. But you could hook up a Wi-Fi hotspot, the Play Store, and Google Assistant. So there's a lot of different functionality features in here. One of the things I really like is if we go to cameras, General Motors has the best camera setup in the game right now. That's my personal opinion, but I think the quality is fantastic. The size of the screen is now much better, and the camera angles you have are so useful. So if you want to do front, rear, you can go out of just the sides right there. Now, I'm going to be honest, that's kind of awful. This is not as good as they normally are. This camera is kind of stinky, but that one's pretty good. Then you'll have your trailer hitch camera. You'll have the front side. So and this is live view. So if I'm turning the wheel, you know, really, really useful. And then one of my personal favorites here is the bed camera. So if you have something in the bed and it's sliding around, you can just check it really quick just to make sure that nothing's going anywhere, nothing's about to fly out. And you can even zoom in. You're like, oh, let's investigate further. A lot of cool features available there. And I just really like the camera consistency here, except for that one right here. This one's really blurry. I don't know what's going on there. But there's your back, and then there's your front. So if you want to turn this on as you're off-roading, that is very useful. And then moving down here, you'll have your cooled seats, heated seats, and your climate control buttons right there. And then down here, you have a massive row of buttons right here. Let me see if I can get everything in one shot. Lane keeping assist, rear parking sensors, auto engine start stop, drop the tailgate from inside the truck, hazards, traction control off, hill descent control, rear locker, and front and rear locker right there. There we go. Nailed everything. Then down here, you'll have USB and USB-C kind of tactfully placed. Then you'll have a wireless charger, 2 cup holders, and your trailer brake assist. Then you have your new shifter. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of this shifter, so it's like on a ball joint basically, so it kind of goes back to the same position. So what you do is you push in, you're in drive, you push in, you're in reverse, and then you can just push up and down for different drive modes for neutral and stuff, and then you press for park. I think especially for people that have been used to driving with a traditional shifter for longer will have a little bit of a hard time getting used to this. I like picked it up pretty quick, but I'm like, ooh, this is kind of complicated. And so I could foresee that being a little bit of an issue. I don't know why they wouldn't just do a standard shifter if they're going to make it the size of a standard shifter and place it here. But that's just my personal opinion. The more of these trucks I've reviewed, honestly, the less I kind of like this shifter. I know in the beginning, if you watched my reviews for a while, I'm like, this is great. It's still pretty complicated. And then if we move here to the center console, you have that cool texture that was on the door panels extend right here. Then you can open this up for more storage, USB and USB-C, and even more storage down there. What do we got in here? Some sort of nuts and bolts. All right. Oh, you also have a household outlet right there. It's very useful. Then back here, you'll get 2 cup holders. In my AirPods. Unfortunately, my AirPods do not come with the truck unless you are in the truck right now with me. Okay, I don't think anybody else is in the truck with me right now, so unfortunately no one gets my AirPods but me. Moving to the seats, you'll have the AT4x badge placed in there, and then they are also leather stitched. Very, very comfortable. The bolstering is really nice on here. I have to commend GMC for that. And then if we move up here, this does have a camera in the mirror. So as we focus here, you can see I can just switch this back and forth, which is really useful if you have some tall passengers in the back and you can't see directly out there. I'll admit, you know, even having it just switch to be a regular mirror and have everything kind of go back and forth, it's a little distracting. It's kind of interesting, takes some getting used to because your eye wants to automatically go to whatever's behind you. So I would definitely say, unless you specifically have people behind you, This wouldn't be my go-to to have it in camera mode, but some people might be different. Right here you'll have OnStar, and then you'll have your power rear sliding window controls right there. And then up here you do have a regular sunroof. My biggest complaint on the GMC is there is still no option for a panoramic sunroof. It is still just a regular one. Very disappointing for the price range. I will always say that until they do it, because Ford, Toyota, Ram, they all do it. I don't know why Chevy doesn't yet. I hope on their next mid-cycle refresh or next generation Silverado and Sierra, they do that. Though I do have to commend the quality of the carpeted ceiling liner. This almost feels like Alcantara, which it may very well be. I'll put that on the screen if it is or isn't. But I mean, it's very comfortable, at least. You know, it's very, not that I'm going to be touching the ceiling that often, but it is comfortable to touch. Let's take a quick look at the back seats. There is a good deal of leg room back here. I am 5'9", maybe 5'10" in shoes. I know that's a big difference, but I'm technically 5'9"3/4", so I'm probably 5'10" in shoes. But it's easier to then just say I'm 5'9". You get what I mean. So I have about 6 inches of leg room right here, and I have the seat positioned to where I would sit, and then I have a good deal of headroom, probably 5 or 6 inches there too. So this would definitely be comfortable for longer road trips, though I'd expect it to be. It is a massive truck. It would be like, where are you putting the headroom in there, you know, if you have a truck this large. You'll have heated seats back here, USB and USB-C, and climate vents. Then if we move here, you will have a fold-down armrest with cup holders and a spot for a Fiji water. And then you can actually open these up for storage behind the seats. I think that's very useful, a nice little touch. Of course, the rear seats continue the neat textured design, and so do the rear doors. One thing I'd like to mention right here is you can lift the seats up, and you're not going to have a completely flush load floor right here, but you will just still have the ability to place things right here and add more storage without compromising the nice leather seats that you have. So that is the rear. Let's take this thing for a spin. So there's a crow just plotting along here as I am about to start my driving segment. Oh, what's he got there? Oh, it's like a piece of bread. He's got the whole bread. Who just left a piece of bread in this grass next to a car dealership? Take your Cinnabon to the skies, or at least that lamppost. After that excitement with the crow, we are going to take the Sierra AT4x out for a very quick drive, because I have driven quite a few GMCs, Chevys, Yukons, Silverados, other Sierras with this 6.2, and I'm very familiar with the engine, so I can speak to it. I don't really necessarily need to drive this to tell you guys how it feels. I think it's very responsive. Clearly, it's reliable for Chevy because they keep using it. Acceleration's really good. As I hit the pedal here, you can hear it really growl, and its turning is very nice. You know, for as big of a truck as this is, it handles very well. Before I go, I'd like to mention that I am a Christian, in that if you have any prayer requests, I would love to be able to pray for you. And I like to close out with a weekly scriptural reading. This week, I'm going to be reading John 15, 1 through 2. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that bears no fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. All right, guys, take care. I'll see you next time.